Motion in your step.
Motivation in your heart.
Hello, and welcome to today's Motion and Motivation podcast.
We've put together a study guide for everyone. If you need it, you can grab it from the video description.
All right, so are you ready to dive deep?
I am.
Today we're looking at the Chimp Paradox
Ah, yes.
by Dr. Steve Peters. Have you read this one?
I have, yeah. It's a good one.
This book, seriously blew my mind.
Okay.
It's all about understanding, the crazy emotional roller coaster that's going on inside our heads. And honestly,
Yeah.
I cannot wait to unpack this with you and with all of our listeners.
Yeah, it's what I think is really cool about Dr. Peters is how he uses this brilliant metaphor of a chimpanzee
Right.
to explain how our minds work.
It's like having a whole other being living up there.
It is.
And it's not even like a human, it's a chimp.
Yeah.
And this chimp, as Dr. Peters calls it,
Yeah.
it's not evil, but it's
Sure.
Right. It's just driven by pure emotion, instant gratification.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little bit of a drama queen.
Totally. And here's the thing, Dr. Peters, he says that this chimp is 5 times stronger
Wow.
than our rational human side.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like
Right.
trying to reason with a 5-year-old. That's throwing a tantrum in the candy aisle. Good luck with that.
Oh my gosh, yes. Just last week,
Yeah.
my chimp went totally wild.
Really?
When someone cut me off in traffic, I was fuming.
Yeah, I bet.
And later I was like, seriously?
Right.
Was all that anger really necessary?
Yeah.
The chimp just took over,
And that's precisely how it goes. The chimp reacts first and thinks later,
Right.
if at all.
Wow.
So understanding the chimp is step 1 in managing it.
Okay, so how do we make sense of all this? This whole chimp-human, dynamic.
Right.
I mean, the book dives into, there are different agendas, right?
Right.
And thinking styles.
Absolutely. Think of it like this.
Okay.
The chimp operates on pure emotion.
Yeah.
It jumps to conclusions. It sees threats everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And it thinks in black and white.
Wow.
Yeah. Master of catastrophic thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And meanwhile,
Yeah.
the human is over there trying to be all logical and thoughtful.
Right.
Considering the consequences and stuff, playing by the rules of society. It's like they're speaking different languages.
It is.
I can see this play out in my own head, honestly.
Total.
Have you noticed this in your own life?
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
My chimp, it loves to rear its head when I'm tired or feeling stressed.
Yeah.
It's like it waits for those moments of weakness.
Right. Okay, so we've got this chimp. It's 5 times stronger. It loves to make a scene and often speaks before it thinks.
Yeah.
How do we manage this beast?
That's where boxing the chimp comes in. Now, it's not about suppressing or ignoring those emotions, because remember, you can't win in a head-to-head battle
Right.
with a chimp. Instead, it's about acknowledging those feelings
Okay.
and then, giving your chimp an outlet to express them in a safe way. And then, and only then, can you bring in the logical human
Right.
to sort things out.
So it's like letting the chimp have its tantrum
Right.
in a controlled environment.
Exactly.
Before you try to reason with it.
Yeah. The book, it gives this really powerful example of a guy named John who gets a really raw deal at work.
Oh, no.
And his chimp wants to explode, wants to fight back.
Right.
But John's smart.
Yeah.
He boxes his chimp by venting to a trusted friend.
Okay.
Letting all of that emotional energy out before bringing in his human to think things through calmly.
That story really clicked for me. Instead of immediately firing off that angry email, you could journal about it first, let all that emotion out on paper, and then come back to it with a clearer head.
Exactly. You're giving your chimp its time in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And then bringing in your human to assess the situation.
Right.
With logic and reason. It's brilliant.
So it's all about understanding the chimp.
Yeah.
Boxing it effectively.
Right.
And then letting the human take charge.
Yes.
But wait, there's another piece to this puzzle.
There is.
The book talks about, our computer.
Yeah.
That stores all our beliefs and values.
Right.
And experiences,
That's right. The computer's
yeah.
a giant library of programs running in the background, and some of these programs, Dr. Peters calls them gremlins.
Gremlins, like those mischievous little creatures.
Right.
From the movie.
Yeah, from the movie.
That wreak havoc.
Yeah.
If you don't follow the rules.
Exactly.
That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
So what kind of gremlins are we talking about here?
Well,
yeah.
One very common gremlin is the need to please everyone.
Ooh. It's that voice that, like, whispers, don't say no.
Yeah.
You'll disappoint them, or you have to be perfect, or they won't like you. Oh my gosh, yes. How many times have I said yes to something
I know.
when I really wanted to say no? Just to avoid, like, rocking the boat?
Totally.
That's totally a gremlin talking.
That's it, yeah. And these gremlins, if left unchecked, they can lead to chronic stress, resentment, and all sorts of, like, emotional turmoil.
Right.
The key takeaway here is to, like, become aware of your own, like, personal gremlins and start replacing them with more helpful programs, which he calls autopilots.
Autopilots. Ooh, I like that. So instead of I must please everyone, maybe an autopilot would be like, it's okay to set boundaries and prioritize my own needs.
Yeah. It's like giving your mind a software upgrade.
I like that.
To support your well-being and success.
So we've got the chimp, we've got the human, and we've got the computer, all kind of interacting in this, like, complex dance.
It is a dance, isn't it?
Yeah. Where does happiness fit into all of this? I mean, the book isn't just about managing stress and avoiding, like, meltdowns.
No.
It's about achieving a happier, more fulfilling life.
Right, hit the nail on the head. Yeah, Dr. Peters, he's really clear. That happiness, it isn't like some magical thing that just happens to us.
Yeah.
Just, it's something we cultivate by understanding, like, how our minds work and making conscious choices.
Okay, so it's not about waiting for happiness to fall in our life. It's about creating it. That's empowering. But where do we even begin? What are some, like, practical steps to boost our happiness?
Well, the first step, and this is where it gets interesting, is understanding that our chimp and human, they might have very different definitions of success. What makes your chimp happy might not necessarily align with what truly fulfills your human.
Oh, I can see that. Like, my chimp might define success as having, like, tons of money and fancy things.
Right.
And my human might prioritize, meaningful relationships and making a difference.
Exactly. It's about taking the time to figure out what truly matters to you, to both your chimp and human.
Right.
And then creating a life that reflects those values.
That makes sense. So we've got to figure out what success really means. What's next?
Well, Dr. Peters, he talks a lot about taking ownership of our choices and focusing on effort and personal excellence. It's about recognizing that we have the power to, like, shape our own lives, even when things feel really challenging.
So instead of beating ourselves up for our mistakes, we should, like, focus on learning from them.
Exactly. It's about replacing that inner critic with, like, a more compassionate voice and supportive voice. It's about celebrating our wins, big and small, and acknowledging that, like, setbacks, there is just a natural part of the journey.
I love that. It's about, focusing on progress, not perfection.
You got it. And another powerful tool that Dr. Peters suggests is creating a happiness list.
A happiness list? What is that?
It's literally like a list of things, both big and small, that bring you joy. It could be anything from savoring a cup of coffee on a rainy morning to planning, like, a dream trip you've always wanted to take. It's about intentionally cultivating moments of happiness in your everyday life.
Oh, I love that. Like, little reminders of all the good things.
Exactly.
To shift our focus away from the stress and the negativity. What would be on your happiness list?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think for me, spending time in nature always brings me joy.
Yeah.
Whether it's hiking in the mountains or just sitting under a tree, it's instant happiness.
I love that. It is so important to connect with. What brings us joy, those things that, like, make our hearts sing. But before we move on, I'm curious about one more thing.
Yeah.
The book mentions this thing called, like, the troop drive.
It does, yeah.
It sounds fascinating.
It is the troop drive.
Yeah.
It's this innate need that we have as humans to belong,
right,
to be accepted by others. And while that drive can be a beautiful thing, it can also lead us astray.
Oh, how so?
Well, sometimes our chimp, it gets a little too eager to please, to fit in, even if it means seeking approval from people who aren't really in our tribe.
So, like, trying to impress the cool kids.
Yeah.
Even if they're not really, like, people we admire or respect.
Exactly. And that can drain our energy and leave us feeling unfulfilled. It's about recognizing who truly matters in our lives. The people who support us, uplift us, inspire us to be our best selves.
So the big question is, who is really in your troop? Are you spending your energy trying to please the wrong people?
That's it. That's the question.
That is a really good question. And, speaking of connecting with the right people, Dr. Peters also dives into communication.
He does, yeah.
Effective communication. That's huge.
Big one.
We all know how much miscommunication can just, like, wreak havoc in our relationships. What are some of Dr. Peters', like, insights?
He introduces this really helpful framework called the square of communication.
Ooh.
It emphasizes finding the right time, the right place, the right agenda, and the right way to communicate.
Oh, the square of communication.
Yeah.
That sounds handy. Let's break that down. What's the deal with finding the right time and place?
Well, think about it. Trying to have, like, serious conversation when someone is stressed, distracted, or in a rush.
Yeah.
It's just a recipe for disaster you're likely to get. A lot of chimp reactions.
Oh, yeah. Not thoughtful responses. So, like, trying to talk to my partner about finances when they're, in the middle of cooking dinner and wrangling the kids.
Exactly. Not the best timing.
Not a good time. Okay.
It's about choosing a moment when both of you are calm, receptive, and able to, like, fully engage in the conversation. And the same goes for place, choosing, like, a private setting, comfortable setting where you can both speak freely and openly.
Makes sense. Now, what about this right agenda?
Yeah.
I feel like we often, like, go into conversations with all sorts of hidden agendas.
Yeah.
Especially when emotions are high.
Absolutely. And that's where the chimp can really sabotage things. The chimp's agenda.
Right.
It's often about winning or blaming, defending itself. It wants to be right.
Yeah.
Even if it means, like, sacrificing the relationship.
Oh, I could totally see that playing out.
I know.
Like, in arguments. It's like my chimp wants to just, like, dig up every past grievance, throw logic out the window just to prove a point.
Exactly. So before you even start a conversation, it's crucial to check in with yourself and ask, what's my real agenda here?
Right.
Is it to win the argument or to strengthen the relationship?
So it's about reminding ourselves that we're on the same team.
Exactly.
Even if it doesn't feel like it in the heat of the moment.
And that brings us to the right way to communicate. Dr. Peters, he emphasizes using, like, assertive communication, which is expressing your needs and feelings clearly, respectfully, without, like, resorting to aggression.
Okay.
Or passivity.
Assertive communication.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, right?
It is, yeah. Especially when, like, our chimps are triggered.
Right.
It definitely takes practice. But the good news is there are specific techniques that we can use to become more assertive communicators.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some of those techniques?
Well, one important tip is to, like, choose your words carefully. Using I statements can help you express your feelings, your needs, without, like, blaming or attacking the other person.
So instead of saying, you always make me feel, you would say, I feel when.
Exactly. It's about owning your feelings.
Right.
And expressing them in a way that invites understanding, not defensiveness.
That makes a lot of sense. What else?
Paying attention to your tone of voice and body language is also crucial.
Right.
Remember, chimps are highly attuned to those nonverbal cues.
So, like, even if I'm saying all the right words, if I'm rolling my eyes,
exactly,
crossing my arms, the message might be totally different.
Yeah, it's about, like, aligning your words, your tone, your body language.
Right.
To convey, like, a message of respect and openness.
So we've talked about choosing the right time, place, agenda, and way to communicate. What else is important when it comes to, like, effective communication?
One of the most important and often overlooked aspects is active listening.
Oh, yeah.
It's not enough to just hear the words.
Right.
The other person is saying, we have to truly listen.
Yeah.
And try to understand their perspective, even if we don't agree with it.
Active listening.
Yeah.
Definitely a skill I'm working on. So easy to get, caught up in our own thoughts.
Especially when our chimps are triggered.
I know, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But by practicing active listening,
yeah,
we show respect, we build trust, and we create a foundation for resolving conflicts constructively.
And when we feel heard and understood, it's much easier to calm down our chimps.
It is.
And engage in a rational and productive conversation.
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about how we can create the right environment for both our chimps and humans to thrive.
So it's not just about managing our internal world. It's also about shaping our external world.
Yeah. To support our well-being. I love that.
Yeah.
What kind of environment?
Well, remember, chimps, they're wired for survival and security. They crave predictability, routine. They feel safest in environments that feel familiar and controllable.
So having a cozy home base.
Yeah.
Establishing daily rituals and surrounding ourselves with, people who make us feel safe and supported.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of stability and safety, a space where your chimp can relax and feel at ease.
That makes sense. Now, what about the human? What kind of environments help the human thrive?
Humans, on the other hand, they crave growth, learning, and creative expression. They need opportunities to explore, to experiment, expand their horizons.
So having engaging work, pursuing hobbies that light us up, and surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us.
Exactly. It's about creating an environment that fuels your curiosity, sparks your creativity, challenges you to become the best version of yourself.
I love that. It's about finding that sweet spot where both your chimp and human feel nurtured and fulfilled. But let's be real, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows.
It's not.
We all face challenges and stressful situations. How do we help our chimps and humans navigate those tougher times?
Yeah, you're right,
Yeah.
Stress, it's an inevitable part of life. But the good news is that Dr. Peters, he provides some really practical strategies for managing stress. Both, the immediate kind and the chronic kind that can wear us down over time.
So let's start with the immediate kind of stress, that feeling when you spill coffee all over your white shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Right before a big meeting.
Exactly. In those moments, it's crucial to hit the pause button, take a step back from the situation. Right.
And allow that initial wave of emotion to subside.
Because trying to make a rational decision when your chimp is in full-blown panic mode is like trying to herd cats.
Exactly. It's about recognizing when your chimp is in control and giving it a moment to calm down before you try to engage your human.
So how do we help our chimp calm down in those moments?
Well, Dr. Peters suggests a technique called the helicopter view.
The helicopter view? I've never heard of that.
No.
What's that?
Yeah, it's about imagining yourself rising above the situation, like you're in a helicopter, and looking down at the bigger picture. It helps you gain perspective and realize that even though this moment feels really intense, it's just one small blip in the grand scheme of things.
Like reminding yourself that even if you're late for that meeting or you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can help calm the chimp down and allow the human to step back in and make a more rational plan.
I love that. So it's about acknowledging those stressful moments, hitting pause, getting some perspective, and then making a plan. But what about chronic stress? The kind that lingers and can really take a toll on our well-being.
Well, for chronic stress,
Yeah.
Dr. Peters recommends a two-pronged approach.
Okay.
First, it's about identifying the sources
Right.
of that stress.
Right.
Are they external factors like a demanding job or a difficult relationship? Or are they like internal factors, like negative self-talk or unrealistic expectations?
So it's about taking a good hard look at our lives.
Exactly.
And figuring out what's really draining our energy.
And then it's about creating a plan.
To address, like those root causes. If it's an external factor, maybe it's time to set some boundaries or explore some changes. If it's an internal factor, maybe it's time to challenge those negative thoughts. Or work in developing like a more compassionate inner voice.
It's about taking ownership of our stress.
Yeah.
And empowering ourselves to make positive changes.
You got it. And remember, those gremlins we talked about earlier, they often play a big role in this.
Right.
Identifying and replacing those gremlins with more empowering autopilots can make a huge difference.
So instead of, I'm not good enough, maybe an autopilot is like, I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Exactly. It's about rewriting those negative scripts that are like running in the background and replacing them with messages that support our well-being and happiness.
This is all starting to click for me. Like our thoughts, our emotions, our environments, our relationships. Yeah. They all like play a role in our overall well-being.
It's all connected.
It's a holistic approach to living a happier, more fulfilling life.
You're absolutely right. And that's the beauty of like Dr. Peters' approach. He provides this incredibly insightful and practical framework for understanding ourselves and creating a life that's aligned with our values and aspirations.
Speaking of aspirations, Dr. Peters also offers like a framework for achieving our goals, right?
He does, yeah. He calls it the core principle.
Okay.
And it's all about setting yourself up for success when it comes to like achieving your goals.
Okay, core. I'm loving these acronyms. What does CORE stand for?
It stands for commitment, ownership, responsibility, and excellence.
Okay, let's break those down. Commitment.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty straightforward, you know?
Yeah.
It's about being like all in on your goals.
Yeah.
Like truly believing in them.
Yeah.
And being willing to put in the effort.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. But remember, it's not just about getting your human on board.
Oh, okay.
It's about getting your chimp excited about those goals, too.
Oh, right.
Because if your chimp isn't motivated,
you're
going to face an uphill battle.
Right. Because they're 5 times stronger.
They are, yeah.
It's like trying to convince like a toddler.
I know, right?
To eat their broccoli.
Exactly.
If they're not into it, you're in for a power struggle.
Huge power struggle, yeah.
Big time.
So finding ways to make your goals appealing and rewarding for both. Like your chimp and human, it's key.
Okay, that makes sense. Now what about ownership?
Yeah, ownership is about taking full responsibility for your goals. It's about recognizing like you're in the driver's seat and you have the power to choose your actions and create the outcomes you desire.
So no more blaming external circumstances or like other people.
Right.
For our lack of progress.
Exactly. It's about empowering ourselves to take charge.
I like that. What about responsibility? It sounds like it's about action, right?
It is, yeah.
Actually, doing the work.
Yeah, responsibility is about following through on your commitments, being accountable for your actions, and holding yourself to a high standard.
No more procrastination or excuses.
Exactly. And that brings us to the final element of the core principle. Excellence.
Okay.
Dr. Peters, he emphasizes the importance of striving for excellence in all that we do. Not just in like achieving our goals, but in the way we go about achieving them.
So it's not just about the destination, but also about the journey. It's about, putting our hearts and souls into our endeavors, constantly learning and growing and striving to be like our best selves.
We got it. And by embracing these core principles, commitment, ownership, responsibility, and excellence, we set ourselves up for success in all areas of our lives.
This has been so insightful. But before we wrap up, I have one last question. The book touches on the idea of security, right?
It does, yeah.
How do we cultivate a sense of security?
Yeah.
Both for ourselves and our chimps in a world that often feels so uncertain?
That's such an important question.
It is, yeah.
Security, it's something our chimps crave, but it's often elusive. Especially, in today's fast-paced, ever-changing world.
Right.
The key, as Dr. Peters points out, is understanding that. True security It comes from within.
Okay, so it's not about external factors.
Yeah.
Like having a stable job, a lot of money.
It's not that those things aren't important.
Right.
But true security, the kind that can, like weather any storm it comes from, cultivating self-awareness, self-acceptance, and a strong sense of self-worth.
So it's about recognizing that our worth isn't dependent on, like, external factors, like achievements or possessions or other people's opinions.
Exactly. And it's about, like, learning to trust ourselves, our intuition, our ability to, like, navigate whatever life throws our way. It's about developing that.
Yeah.
Like, unshakable belief in ourselves that says, I got this.
Right.
No matter.
It's like that saying, the only constant is change.
Yes.
If we can, like, embrace that truth and become, like, comfortable with uncertainty, we're less likely to feel threatened by, like, life's inevitable ups and downs.
Exactly. And by cultivating that inner security, we empower ourselves to face challenges with courage, resilience, and a sense of peace.
This has been incredible. We've explored the fascinating world of our inner chimps.
We have.
Learned practical strategies for managing our emotions.
Yes.
And discovered, like, the power of choosing happiness and creating a life that truly reflects, like, our values and aspirations.
And we've just scratched the surface.
I know, right?
Dr. Peter's book, it's packed with so much more wisdom and practical tools.
It is.
If you're ready to.
Yeah.
Like, tame your inner chimp, unlock your full potential, and create a life you truly love. I highly recommend diving into the Chimp Paradox.
It's been an absolute pleasure exploring these ideas with you and to all our listeners. Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Until next time, keep exploring, keep evolving, and remember to, like, give your chimp a hug every now and then. They need love too. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. That way you won't miss any of our updates. Also, if you think this video could help others, please share it with them. Thanks for watching and for your support.